The opportunities for the state to grow because of the rail are endless. It's going to be very important for the railroad to maintain that level of infrastructure investment, to maintain its level of good service so that we can accommodate the thousands of citizens that are going to call Georgia home in the future.
Back in 1970, really Atlanta and Birmingham were virtually the same size in population, very little difference. But in its time, the leaders took on the largest investment. It was a $500 million investment in a thing called Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson Airport. Today, there's no comparison between what Atlanta and Birmingham is. And what it tells us is that you have to invest in order to grow. You have to build the infrastructure that businesses are going to need. And today we celebrate not just simply the busiest airport in the world, but all of the economic opportunity that is generated as a result. Rail is the same way.
For decades, Georgia and transportation have been synonymous. But before planes, there were trains, and Georgia was a leader there too. Beginning in the 1820s, rail lines grew and grew until the state had more rail miles than any other state in the Deep South. Georgia's freight railroads are divided into two categories: the Class I railroads, which are large, primarily long-haul regional rail systems, and short lines, which operate at a local level. Georgia has a strong system of nearly 5,000 miles of tracks, anchored by two Class I systems, CSX and Norfolk Southern. Together with nearly 30 short line systems, 500 miles of which is owned and leased by the state of Georgia, they transport 190 million tons of freight in nearly 4 million rail cars. According to the 2015 State Rail Plan, rail employs 6,000 people directly. But when all factors are included, rail-related employment tops 670,000 jobs, almost 13% of the total jobs. Rail-related jobs earned $32 billion, 12% of Georgia's total labor income. Statewide, rail transports items that touch our lives every day, thousands of products we find in any store we might visit. Agriculture, manufacturing, and coal lead the way in shipped tonnage, but the totals also include products from all across the state: cars, heavy equipment, carpeting, paper products, peanut, stone, kale, and cotton, and many others. The Port of Savannah is one of the busiest on the East Coast, funneling approximately 30 million tons of cargo into Georgia's transport delivery system during 2014. When its $700 million expansion is complete, the port will be able to handle the largest ships sailing the seas. Bigger ships mean more cargo, more containers that need to be shipped.
So much of our through traffic on rail, as well as our outbound traffic on rail, is intermodal. Those containers can be reused and reused and reused throughout the supply chain.
Cordele, Georgia is rural and part of the last mile of connectivity to the Class I rail system. It is the perfect marriage of location and opportunity. The Heart of Georgia Railroad, a short line headed by Brad Lefevers, seems to be busy on all fronts. Lefevers operates what's termed an inland port, which serves as a regional rail truck transfer hub for goods traveling to or from the Port of Savannah.
The potential economic impact is tremendous. You just imagine that every one of these rail cars that you see going down the road is equivalent to 3.5 or 4 truckloads going down the road.
And one of Lefevers' clients is Stella Jones, a rail tie manufacturer.
The reason we are here is because Cordele is kind of unique in the fact that it has two Class I railroads that actually intersect in Cordele. And then we have the Heart of Georgia Railroad that actually serves our industry and connects to both of those railroads.
For many industries, short line availability can be a deal maker or deal breaker.
Since our products are heavy, both our inbound parts plus also our outbound machines, it's very critical that we can find that area where we can either ship intermodal or ship by rail to and from our facilities.
For Lafayette, the opportunity is new jobs, employment for 150 people at a new $60 million plastics company, which needed rail access to its new plant.
In the case of Audia, this project wouldn't have happened without rail. Rail was important because so much of what they do is dependent upon rail. They have raw material that comes into the plant via rail, and they're actually sending finished goods via rail out of Walker County as well.
If you're an importer and you're looking for a place to build a distribution center, for example, you bring those out here, now you've created jobs in these areas that need them desperately. Every one of those jobs increases the tax base. Every one of those businesses do bring ancillary services and other businesses around them. Our old saying is industry begets industry. So once it starts, the ball keeps rolling.
So you're going to have new stores that are going to pop up. You're going to have different restaurants, things like that are going to pop up to provide for the needs that facility is going to have. And again, it's just, there's a compounding factor, when you think about something like this coming to town.
I think one of the critical things that could happen is for the state to work with our industry to improve the quality of the lines that we're currently leasing. That would allow them to handle more product, to carry the product at a higher rate of speed, and also just carry heavier load.
A big selling point for rail over trucks is its efficiency, both environmental and financial.
A locomotive can move 1 ton of freight 500 miles on 1 gallon of gas. That is a tremendous advantage for freight rail from an efficiency standpoint as well as from an environmental standpoint.
We are looking at emission-friendly locomotives, and they will go into our yard operation at Inman Yard here in Atlanta. And what these locomotives do is that the emissions from these locomotives are far less than what we use in existing.
And soon, with more engines like these, will come the advantages of cleaner and less expensive transport service.
That's a key ingredient in a way that the railroad industry is growing, because what that does is it takes trucks off the road, which is safer for all of the citizens of the state.
According to the Environmental Defense Fund, buses and trucks alone are responsible for consuming 125 million gallons of gas, as well as producing 450 million metric tons of climate pollution each year. So, of course, we would love to see some of that shifted onto rail where that pollution would be reduced.
Passenger rail is also healthy and growing.
We serve 178,000 people a year in the state of Georgia. 95,000 came from the city of Atlanta alone.
Intercity passenger rail and regional commuter rail are some of the greatest opportunities that we have before us here in Georgia. Investment in these systems represents not just an investment in our transportation systems, but also in the environment and the people that are part of the communities that we seek to connect.
It's something we're going to continue to look at, but I do think it, especially from a rail transit type situation, especially from the congestion around the metropolitan area, around Atlanta, that's something that's definitely going to be looked at for the future.
Due to limited funding availability, the 2015 Georgia State Rail Plan is only able to include approximately $8 million annually for state-owned short-line track and bridge maintenance projects. However, identified improvements needed to maintain ideal service is estimated to exceed $45 million annually. With greater investment in maintaining this valuable service come far greater economic benefits.
I think that what rail provides is it enables the state's economic engine to really run at a much higher rate and a much more efficient way. And if we don't think that economic development is a full contact sport, we're wrong. That's why the rail system and the railroads, particularly the Class 1s, they're huge in helping us recruit the kind of industry that we want, but also making sure that existing industry has the resources to expand and be successful.
There is a huge advantage to a local community if they have rail access. All really it has to do is be interchangeable with the Class 1s, and it creates an opening of an opportunity to a world, literally a world of markets.